at your desk at work, or maybe you're sitting on your couch or driving in your car, and it's not hard to listen. It's not hard even to agree. But the key is we're supposed to go home and do what we heard. James said that faith without works is dead. We're not saved by our works, but true faith, anyone who has truly been saved, is going to want to do good works. They're going to want to be obedient to God. James 1:22, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourself. So the Amplified Bible says, by reasoning which is contrary to the truth. It's interesting that when somebody else isn't obeying, there's no reason for them not to obey. But when we don't obey, we've always made some kind of an excuse for ourselves. And so I want you to really think today, and then you're going to have the whole weekend, you can think about this. How much of what you know are you actually doing? And how often do you say, well, I know I should do this, but I know I shouldn't do this, but. You know, good intentions are not obedience. And good intentions don't bring any reward into our life. It's only obedience that does. James chapter 1 is just full of instructions. It starts out by talking about being patient when you're going through all kinds of trials, knowing that the trying of your faith will work good things. It talks about persevering. It talks about if you don't know what to do, to ask for wisdom. And then further in the book of James, in James chapter 4, it says to know what is good to do and not to do it is sin. So, you know, God actually deals a little differently with people who are ignorant, they don't know that what they're doing is wrong, than he does people who know what they're doing is wrong and do it anyway. The Apostle Paul was a man who was persecuting Christians and hunting them down to be arrested. But after his experience with God on the Damascus Road, where Jesus came to him and said, why are you persecuting me? And he ended up being saved and becoming a great apostle. At one point he said, I received grace from God. He had mercy on me because I was ignorant. Paul was a very strong religious man, and he really truly believed that these Christians were off base and that he was serving God by hunting them down. So he was being disobedient, but he really didn't know it. But that's a different thing than knowing that what you're doing is wrong and doing it anyway. If we have any kind of reverential fear and awe of God, we won't do that. And that's exactly what we're doing when we say, well, I know I shouldn't do this, but. I know I shouldn't buy this, but. I know I should get out of debt, but. I know I should tell the truth in this situation, but. And we could go on and on and on and on. And we all do that from time to time. And really, if we listen to ourselves, we're giving ourselves a good warning. I'm about to make a wrong decision, and I need to make the right decision because the right decision brings a reward. The wrong decision just causes more pain and agony in our lives. Matthew 7:21 says, no one says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So we can say we know Jesus. We can say, Lord, Lord, didn't I do this? Didn't I do that? But he says, it's only those who have done the will of my Father in heaven that are going to be rewarded. I wrote this, the size of the gap between knowledge and doing is what determines our measure of victory. Now, Luke 6:46 through 49. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and then not do what I say? See, I heard somebody recently say there's two words, if you're a Christian, there's two words that you can never put together, and those two words are no, Lord. Because if He is the Lord of our life, the only thing we can ever say to Him when He asks us to do something is, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? As for everyone who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice, I will show you what they are like. They're like a man building a house who dug down very deep and laid his foundation on rock. And when a flood came and the torrent struck that house, but it could not shake it because it was well built. It was built on the rock. That's what it's like if you're being obedient. The storms of life cannot defeat you. But the one who hears my word and does not put them into practice, and there's a lot of those, we have to ask ourselves where we're at in this. Do we just pick and choose and obey the ones that are easy and ignore the ones that aren't? Obedience is a very important subject, and it's something that we need to hear a lot of on a really regular basis, because let me say again, hearing, we can hear the word, we can listen to teaching programs, we can listen to podcasts, we can read our Bible, we can underline in our Bible, but until we do what it says, we're no better than somebody who doesn't believe at all. But the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. You know, nobody gets too excited about foundations, but they're really the most important part of the house. Dave and I have had the pleasure of being able to have a couple of houses built, and, you know, I don't remember ever taking somebody out to see my foundation. Now, as the house went up and things were looking pretty, then I would say, you want to come and see my house? But the house is not going to stand if it's not built on a strong foundation. So make sure that you have a strong foundation, that you know what your faith is built on, and that you are in obedience to God. Let me ask you a question. It's a little bit of a challenging one, but one that I think needs to be asked. How many things are you doing that you know you should not be doing? Like I said, you got the weekend to think about this. How many things do you know you should be doing that you're not doing? Well, why do we put it off? Procrastination. I know I should do that. I'll get around to it. I know I need to lose some weight. I know I need to get out of debt. I know I need to exercise. I know that I need to give into the kingdom of God on a regular basis, but maybe after I get my next raise. No, now is the time to obey God. But the man who hears my word and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation at all. And the moment the storm came, it collapsed and the destruction was complete. The attacks of Satan come, and sometimes we say, why is it that every time I want to do good, something bad happens? Well, the enemy wants to see if you mean business. And God will also let our faith be tested. because it's in our faith being tested that it grows stronger and stronger. For many people watching right now, the only thing that stands between you and great victory in your life is doing what you know to do. Are you a doer of the word? Now, I know, maybe you're tempted to turn the program off right now because you've already thought of 5 or 6 things that you know you should